Listen to your heart. Your heart is never wrong. Always face the truth. Your heart won't lead you home.
Welcome to Soul Wealth, wealthy conversations that nurture the soul. Get ready for an enlightening conversation that will nurture your soul and help you live your best life. Now, here's your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson.
Welcome to the Soul Wealth Radio Show. I am your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson, here on dcradio.gov and 96.3 HD4 WHUR, as well as other major platforms. I am so excited to have another wealthy conversation that I know, again, will nurture your soul as our past episodes have done. My guest today has cultivated her life experience, community service, professional training, and faith walks into a spiritual testimony. She realized that her professional and creative commitments had become a common theme. Vision, strategy, activation, emergence via spiritual psychology. I love my guest today. The girl is bad, y'all. She is naturally inspirational, has her own testimony, tests, and triumphs that have required her to demonstrate her own rebirth. Now a purpose, pleasure, passion, counselor, healing educator, and entrepreneur, she leads others to her signature blend of spiritual psychology, transformation, and feminine soul retrieval rites of passage programs. I said that slowly because I really want you to hear this amazing work that she does. She is also a coach and production consultant on the Emmy Award-winning show on the OWN Network with her mentor, Reverend Dr. Iyanla Van Zandt. Iyanla's Fix My Life. She enjoys leading those 4.5 million viewers to breakthrough. Her programs share how rebirth and reinvention is not a one-time event. In the corporate sector, my guest today is a specialist in program organizational development and has provided training in areas such as conflict resolution, restorative justice, and employment career preparation. She began her post-high school educational pursuit at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, focusing on elementary education. Her student journey led her to the mastery of the inner journey. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and Human Development from Union Institute and University and is an inaugural graduate of the Inner Visions Institute for Spiritual Development, also founded by Dr. Van Zandt, and is now a master level trained life coach, ordained minister, with certifications in various healing arts such as Reiki, iridology, tantric massage, goddess rites, and holistic nutrition. I told y'all, wealthy. Wealthy, 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 wealthy. This multi-passionate soul has served as a faculty member at the Inner Visions Institute for Spiritual Development, is and was an associate minister at Union Temple Baptist Church and a board member minister at Real Life Today Church. Thus, she is affectionately known as the Rev Coach, with many celebrity clients and women worldwide. My guest today is a spiritual midwife of purpose, pleasure, and passion. Welcome to the Soul Wealth Radio Show, Tonia Taylor.
Thank you.
What's up, big?
Dr.
Big Sister Goddess. That's who she is today. And I am just thrilled to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you
for getting off an airplane and coming into the studio to have this wealthy conversation that I know is going to bless our listeners.
Oh, thank you so
happy to
much.
have you here, looking amazing, sounding amazing, looking happy and juicy. She is the author of My Juicy Rebirth, a journey to healing the feminine through pleasure and sacred process. Girl, what a background.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I know, don't believe, I know, which is a deeper level than belief, that you were born for such a time as this. And I am so happy to see you flourishing, to know that you're blessing from your southern home base down in the ATL. You're a
Yes.
Georgia peach now,
Yes.
but touching the world. And it is so amazing. So, LaTonya, I want to jump right in. Who inspires you? What inspires you?
Oh, wow.
And you got to give short answers too, because I
Yeah.
got a lot of questions.
Okay. I think I'm inspired by everyone or anyone authentic, really. Because I'm no respecter of person and title. So I can be inspired by a person I meet on the street without knowing their background. Because I really believe, that God speaks to you through people and experiences.
So you just thrive in that southern environment. You went to college in Louisiana, born in Mississippi.
Yes.
Lived in the Northeast for a while, and now you're in Atlanta.
Yes.
So you seem to come alive and thrive in who you be. I say it that way because you do a lot, but your beingness is so magnetized when you're down. What is it about living in the South
Oh, wow.
that causes the oil on your life, really?
I think I'm still trying to
ruminate.
figure that out.
Yeah?
Because I'm still in the experience and it feels so different. But I think it's the warmth, the openness, and
The collard greens.
yeah, that can help. I'm a little fuller, a little fluffier, thanks to being down south. But it is everything that's special about like the food, that it's in the spirit of the people, and it feels so familiar to my spirit, and it feels so at home.
So talk about the role, if you will, the environment, your environment plays on your authenticity.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think so. Because I lived 17 years in DC, there was a part of my journey. I was just as excited to be in DC. I think it's your season. Like when you are called into a season to experience a different thing, any place can be home, because now I feel like the difference is I'm home in myself, that I could go anywhere and be home because I'm so at home in me. And that really happened when I left the United States and moved to Costa Rica. That quieting of my spirit and my soul opened me, cracked me wide open to hear from God, to even hear my gifts, let my gifts talk to me. Because it was too noisy for me. It got noisy in DC. It got busy for me, and it opened me up. And I'm home in me now.
That's powerful. Let me just pregnant pause right there. When you're home in yourself, you can go anywhere and be at home.
The whole
That's
world
powerful.
is your home.
That is powerful, because a lot of times we look for, am I in the right place? Do I live in the right city? Am I on the right job, in the right career? But the truth is, when you are at home, I like saying that versus when you're right within, because that's relative. But when you are at home in yourself, wherever you are is home. That's beautiful. That is really awesome. So what inspires you? Who inspires you? I know you said that everybody, people inspire you, but I want to talk about your work with women, right? Because I know you are a magnet for men and women, but I want you to share a bit about your work and your passion around helping women to tap into their juice, if you will, and live as a turned on woman, because so many times we're in our masculine that we don't even know there is another level of femininity, and that's a part of your work. And I'm just trying to concretize who you are and your experience and your resume and your bio, because you have done amazing work for years and now are walking, in a mastery of those things. So share your work and passion and inspiration for working with women.
Well, I'm inspired. If I were to get specific, I am a spiritual nerd. So when I see a deep work, when I see women who have taught me, so of course, the Reverend Dr. Iyanla Vanzant is, I'd say, my chief mentor. But because of her, I found myself on journeys. I remember this guy was doing a reading for me once, and he said, and he asked me something very similar about, my mentors. And all of them had mama in their title, right? Because Iyanla means the great mother. And other people I had worked with that was, I can't remember right now, I'm getting scattered. Mama this and mama that. And he said to me, because you're drawn to them because that's who you're on the planet to be. Wow. That's who you are. And so
somebody else said that to you.
Oh, yes, you did.
That you were a mother.
Yes, you did. And that's so funny because I think the journey to motherhood started for me when I was married at 19. I wanted to get pregnant right after that. And that not happening drove me deeper into myself to ask questions about my womanhood that at the time I was just trying to solve the fertility question. And everything led me to the next thing, the next person, the next teacher, the next course, the next process. And I've been through several, and they mothered me. And I think that my story with my own mother also facilitated me seeking God first through religion and fathers. I should say both my mother and my father. I had very trying relationships with them. So I looked to God to mother and father me. And then when religion was not enough, I should say, then that's when I started to open to I cannot heal in the same place that makes me sick.
Okay, pause. Pregnant pause. You cannot heal in the same place that makes you sick. So you had to go out.
Yes.
You had to go away from to heal.
Yes.
And then come back, because what I do want to make whole in this moment is that you have been able to heal that relationship with your mom and make peace with the relationship you had with your dad, and affectionately identify as a daddy's girl. So I don't want to just leave that out there, but I want to close that you did go away. You were able to come up and out, go away, heal, come back, reconcile those relationships, and now teach others how to do the same. That really is a nugget that I want those of you listening to get, that you do the work and then you have a responsibility.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm very much the prodigal daughter. The prodigal son story blesses me and blessed me when I learned that he didn't do anything wrong. That was a part of his initiation, his rites of passage. And that the way we hear it, we position the story as though he did something wrong. But sometimes you must go away and you must go into the pen, because in that pen is something for you. There's stuff for you. And it may be somebody at home saying, you need to be here. But no, he was where he's supposed to be. And it was nothing that he needed to do. And so I can relate to that in this season of my life. And because, my father is no longer here, I know the work works. Because before he left, I didn't have any I wish I had said, I wish I had done. And that inspired me to keep doing the work and sharing the work, because I love women and I'm a teacher. And so I'm the kind of teacher that wants you to get it. So and I want to share. So when I learn something, I just want to share it.
That's awesome. And I want to just reframe for those listening. Don't judge your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Don't judge your journey because it's necessary. Whatever lessons, whatever pathways you take are required for you to evolve and become who you were born to be so that you can leave the impression or the impact or the imprint in the earth that you were born to do. So, LaTonia, what has been one or a couple of some of your greatest lessons? What were some moments? Share a moment or two that required you to pivot.
Oh, gosh, it's
and
so
shift.
many.
I know, just pick two. I know y'all have to get her book, My Juicy Rebirth, A Journey to Healing the Feminine Through Pleasure and Sacred Process. But for this moment, just share a couple of your pivots with those of us who are listening.
I'll because I'm in DC and because I'm here with you. I remember being on 495 one day, and I was processing my life after being married, and I once was in the Nation of Islam, and I've been a servant, a heart-centered servant leader for a long time, and so I felt like I had been faithful and loyal and had done right. And so I was asked, one day I just said out loud, God, I am so angry with you. And that moment of being able to articulate that and say it out loud, it felt like years of conformity, years of being, having a fear-based relationship with God, a rule-bound relationship with God, being judgmental of myself and others. Like, it fell off of me. And it was the communication with me, the God in me opened up and the answers started to flow. That was one pivot.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful pivot.
And then the second pivot was, I talk about it in the book. This is shortly after that time period, I was out with an older woman who was trying to mother me, but because my mother was not that type of mother, I didn't recognize it. It felt like meddling. And she pulled me to the side one day and she said, "Why you got on all that fabric? Why you got on all that?" She said, "Come here, come in the room." And she said, "Take that off, put this on. Take that off, put this on." And she said, "You have a figure, you need to show it. And this is how you show it." And in that moment, she was calling me out of hiding. And she was like, and then another opening happened because then I saw how it was convenient it was in the name of God to hide because my obedience was being modest and covering. And so even though I was outside of the religion, I still had habits, right? And tendencies. I didn't know my womanhood. I didn't know my bra size. That was a pivot for me to not know my bra size. And that for my womanhood again. And that's a big one. And then one last pivot I would say is I found myself looking to belong unconsciously in my service, because we say that we're serving for other people because we enjoy it. But I looked at my pattern and I looked at how I felt if it felt like people weren't asking me to speak or bringing me to their platforms and that type of thing. And I kept asking, something in me kept saying, why does it matter so much? And that question lived in me and took me to my altar. And as I sat at my altar, instead of going to the people, because I am the kind of person that will come to you. And everybody sometimes is not in a position to give you an answer. Sometimes they don't know the answer. And my spirit, and I call them my committee, showed me that that it was still my mother, that I was still seeking to be approved of. I was still seeking validation. And that was another pivot. And that's when Fix My Life came, shortly after a big breakthrough that I had with myself. Nobody knew about it because it was supposed to be quiet and not advertised. If you worked with me, you got the oil and the benefit of it.
That's awesome. You went from Mississippi to Baton Rouge
To New Orleans,
to New Orleans
to Chicago.
to Chicago, the Nation of Islam, to
DC.
the Baptist Church,
Yes.
out of the Baptist Church to
Non-denominational.
from non-denominational to recognizing your own divinity and goddessness, God's self, which is really powerful to me. And now you're on or a part of the Fix My Life team on the OWN network. That's powerful. Listen,
Another mama.
you had to fix your own life.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
You had to fix your own life before you could become part of such an amazing platform, reaching millions of people to help them do the same. And I think that's the nugget. That is the soul wealth tip. And I'll offer you the space to share another one. But before you can offer your gift or offer your service to the world, you have to do your work.
Yes, yes, yes.
You have to do your soul work. I have, and as you have, met so many people who want to skip the process
Yes.
to serve, and then they're bleeding.
Yes.
And, just imagine going into a restaurant and your server comes up to you with blood running
Right.
down his
Oh,
or
my
her
God.
arm. You're like, you can't serve me
Yes.
anything. You are bleeding, right? You need to go and deal with that and then come back and serve. And so I think it's really beautiful, your journey. I am so honored and deeply privileged, LaTonya, to have been in the earlier part of your journey, somewhat of the middle, and now to witness you here with me. This right here is the manifestation of the vision, really,
Oh, God.
that we talked about
Yes.
years ago.
Yes.
So I picked up your book this morning. I said, I'm going to bring my Juicy Rebirth, a journey to healing the feminine through pleasure and the sacred process, right? So I picked up the book this morning. I said, I'm just going to open up a page, and whatever I open up to is what I'm going to share today, and then let you share something from that before you share with us your legacy. So I opened it up to chapter 4, Pleasing God. You just talked about that. It says, when you order your priorities according to your purpose anointing and not someone else's, you may stretch, but you won't strain yourself trying to be anything other than who you were created to be. Tailor-made inspiration. It says, we are created to be juicy. I'm pausing, y'all, because some of us are real dry, parched, living in the wilderness, like the desert. And that's men and women.
Yes.
Right? But we were created to be juicy. Hydration for the woman is just as important for the spiritual experience as it is for the sensual and sexual experience. Unfortunately, fear-based, dogmatic, religious rules and interpretations of pleasing God dehydrates the most obedient woman. Y'all have to get the book to read the rest of that, because that was real juicy, right? I know you want to know what else she said in chapter 4 of Pleasing God, in this My Juicy Rebirth. You got to order her book, and she's going to tell you how to do that in a minute. But listen, that people-pleasing demon spirit will dry you up
Yeah.
and rob you of heartbeats and take away your life force, your chi, your energy, and have you chasing a moving target, which is crazy. So I love what you share, the wisdom you have shared in it. What legacy do you want to leave? Because, gosh, time just flies when we're having these amazing, wealthy conversations. But what legacy do you want to leave? Are you building? Are you living so that you can leave?
The legacy I'd like to leave is sovereignty and womanhood.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sovereignty?
Yes.
and womanhood?
In womanhood.
In sovereignty in womanhood. Okay.
That women will know their spiritual authority through their femininity, their pleasure, and that their pleasure is very much connected to it is a portal. I always say this, that your womanhood, your orgasm, your spiritual language, it is a portal. And intimacy is wealth. There are so many levels of intimacy that open you to the next level. It's like, we really do as women go through rites of passages. We are built to be secular. We have a cycle that's intentional, and we go through seasons. A woman goes through 3 major seasons in her life, and those 3 major seasons are significant for leaving a legacy. When by the time you reach the crone, being what's called a crone, the old lady that can sit on the porch and just rock and moan. Y'all know those old ladies that can rock and moan and pray the paint off the wall. But before you get to that, to be able to do that in fullness and in overflow is different than doing it from scarcity and lack and fear. And so I believe that when a woman is overflowing, that she creates the trajectory of her family. The women's power is beyond the roles that we've been subjugated to. And I have to thank you, because Juicy, the first 2 chapters, I talk about you and Juicy. And
y'all get the book.
I can't be in front of you and not acknowledge that
Tonia.
You were my midwife.
Thank you.
That you called me out again, much like, your guests before and other people that you meet, that you come and pick and say, I'm coming to your workshop. I want you to do this. And I was hiding then, and you invited me to lead a session with Christian women.
I know, girl. That's another show. I have to bring you back. Listen, I want people to get your book. I want you all to get to know LaTonia Taylor, purchase her book, explore her programs. She is a midwife and really does help women tap into their wealthy place through intimacy. How can people get in touch with you? Those who are listening, where can they find you? What's your website? What's your social media?
You can find me at LaToniaTaylor.com and LaTonia Taylor Media on Instagram, and LaTonia Taylor, the Rev Coach, on Facebook.
Thank you, girl. This was juicy.
Thank you.
This was juicy. Thank you so much for being here with me today, LaTonia Taylor, here on Soul Wealth Radio. I am your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson. Check out my latest book, Soul Wealth: Finding Vision, Compassion, Authenticity, Abundance, and Legacy in the Midst of Chaos. You can get my book on my website, which is VickiJohnson.com. That's VIKKI Johnson.com. Thank you again for listening to this wealthy conversation that I believe nurtured your soul here on DCRadio.gov and 96.3 HD4 WHUR. Remember, soul wealth is your birthright. So go out, live full, so you can die empty. Until next time, peace.
You've been listening to Soul Wealth, wealthy conversations that nurture the soul with Dr. Vicki Johnson. Soul Wealth is not just a brand, it's a lifestyle of vision, compassion, authenticity, abundance, and legacy created one conversation, one choice at a time. For more information, visit VickiJohnson.com or click on Soul Wealth at DCRadio.gov.